Alright, so it's officially tomorrow. We're back, well rested, changed, showered, feeling good. After struggling with the rear brakes, we're going to move on to the fronts here. Got everything we need off to the side. Basically the same procedure as the others, except for taking out the pads is a little bit different. I'll show you and find out for myself at the same time just how that works. We got to get the covers off of these. Got our clip remover, so I'll break off all these nuts here. We did this recently, so it's not too hard. Jack of the car. Get that wheel just off the ground. Nice. Alright. Make sure that's tight. Take your Ugga Dugga machine. Take your 18 back. Now, the only reason it would have been nice to get to this yesterday is because the front end would have time to cool off since we did the rear brakes first. So it's going to be a little warm up here. But oh well. So on the rear, we have a nice 15mm bolt. I don't know why these assholes decided, let's put a complicated Torx triple-headed, I think it's M14 was what people said on the rear, but I used a T60 Torx bit and it worked, so whatever. But up here we've got two normal bolts and everything back here looks the same. Just the front has this clip for the pads. So I believe we just pull this out and then we'll be able to swing this open. So just like any other job, get some penetrating fluid. I don't normally use WD-40. Don't hate on me, it's not my one of choice, but it's what I got laying around. Let's spray maybe here, whatever, everywhere. Just spray down the whole end. Spray your whole car, who cares? And we can move on to getting this out. So let's grab our clip here. Boom, okay, there you go. That's all you gotta do. And this thing comes out like that. On the top of the calipers we have these nubs right here. Let me point my finger. This, it just has a little rubber cap on it that sits on it like so. Just pop that off, and inside there's a T50 bolt, and I'm gonna try undoing that and seeing if this just clamshells open like the other ones. And that one. Undo the bottom one. I don't know. My initial thought was that, you know, it's like the clip-on, pull-out style, but it almost seems like that front clip doesn't do anything. I don't know. Somebody let me know. What is that clip for in the front? Because this seems pretty normal. It looks like a Brembo. Is it just for looks? I don't know. So what I'm seeing back there is the two bolts you undo. They are T-bolts. I said it was a T50. Because I actually had a T45 in the T50 spot. So to get those two caliper bolts out, T45 fits in there perfectly. Unscrew it just enough. There's not many threads, but then you're gonna need to grab some pliers and just pull it straight out. Should be unscrewed. Yeah, see, and then it just pops out like that. Now there should be nothing else holding this caliper in. And we can wiggle it off. There we go. The other pad fell out. I'll just rest this up here. Pop this forward and out of the piston, just like that. Usually have a spring thing on it. And wow, these pads are fully smooth. With this, go ahead, undo the T30 screw on the front of the rotor now. Pray to the car gods that it's not stripped. Give it a turn. Oh, bless. Whomever it was that last did the brakes on this, proper mechanic. They greased everything up. Every bolt I take out, I can see that there is some anti-seize on it. Can't really ask for more. Germans got lots of performance. I mean, this is the turbo version, so bigger hardware makes sense. Looks like the 21's gonna fit on there. Sucks I don't have a ratcheting 21. And I could get a socket. There's enough room in there. But I already got this on here, so lefty-loosey is this way. Okay, now our rotor's kind of flying around since we took that bolt off, so I don't know. Maybe you want to leave that on. There we go. One bolt down. make it easier still now that it can actually get into the threads. All right, fully over the bottom one. Bolt off for this bracket, and everything here is gonna want to fall off, so be careful of that. Just keep spinning, just keep spinning, just keep spinning, just spinning. There's the other one. Bracket falls off like that. And then we can take our huge 312mm rotor off and set this to the side. And now, just like the other side, we have access here. We're gonna take our wire brush. Now the fronts, usually the rotors do not get stuck as much because they are the wheels that are driven. They have the power. There's a lot more force torque on it. Usually it won't rust straight to it, but if it does, like the rear, it's gonna have to smack it with a hammer until it comes off. Alright, so now you got your beautiful new brake rotor. And in case any of you guys are wondering like me, because the Volkswagens have so many different sizes for stuff. This is a 2012 turbo Beetle. It has the 312mm fronts. The back is, I think it's 272, but anyway. The only thing I had to specify was whether it had 312 or 288 in the front. This one has the bigger one, and I think the easy indicator is that it has like a real big gap here around the thing. But anyway, do the research for your car, but this one, 2012 Beetle, 312s. I could not get someone to just straight up say that. So anyway, we got our new pads here as well, and you can see on these pads they do have the indicators for them. Let me hold up. Here's the rear pad from, well, the inside one, the one that gets pressed by the piston. So this one is the one that is going to wear the most compared to our new one. Let me try and, there we go. You can kind of see, it's not going to focus too well, but we have new one here, old one. This one's almost down to the bottom, and it doesn't look like this one came with wear indicators, but you can imagine if it did, it'd be just about done. So that's why we needed to replace them. So it's always good to know you didn't waste your money. So I'm gonna take this outside, spray it with brake cleaner, and then we'll put it back on. So you got that all sprayed down. Just gonna set it to the side here, back on the plastic. All right. Woo. That's some heavy stuff. Gonna grab our copper anti-seize. I just put the copper stuff on everything because copper is more high heat and whatever. I just, instead of trying to figure out which one would get silver or copper, just put copper on everything. Unless you know of a good reason why I shouldn't. I would like to see the comments on that, what your opinion is, but this has always worked for me. So, especially up here in Canada with the Canadian winters and stuff, like you really, I don't know, go with the highest protection you can get. That's all lubed up there. Now we can take our rotor. Look for where the screw is, that's there. Lines up there. You can take your little screw, get some anti-seize on there. Just gonna try and like wipe it. That to the righty-tighty. Turns. Oof, nice. Now it's holding in. Yeah, optimally. See, this is working better than, I don't know, on the rear. It was still able to wiggle when that bolt was tight, and I'm not gonna over tighten it and risk having to drill that stuff out for the next time I do brake. So that is always the worst thing on Hondas. That will like, this will always rust out. You'll have to drill it. If an impact hammer doesn't work, I usually just throw them out. Don't even bother, because once everything's on it, like it holds it in place. This really just helps you with assembling it. And on these German vehicles where they don't have lugs coming out, it helps, because if you already have the lugs on it, it'll hold it in place anyway. So then we can put our bracket back on. Alright. These turbo ones come with a nice pretty red on it. I guess it's part of the sport line trim. I think it's kind of dumb because it doesn't really make sense on this car, and it doesn't, like, red and gray. It's not the theme we're going for. Plus, it just looks like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, why the hell did the previous owner paint it red? That's kind of weird. Like, oh, cool guy with, you know, Brembo, and everyone paints their calipers red. Yeah, I guess it was 2012, but yeah, it's kind of weird. All right, just gave it a quick wipe down. I'm not gonna try too crazy hard for this, and we're gonna take our 21mm caliper bolts and cover the shite out of those with some anti-seize. Figure out get it the right way. Yeah. All right. Cool. And then you can just kind of dangle it. Come on. Wiggle that until it goes in. Back in there. Oops. Down. Downwards for tight. Just give it a good, you know, like a quarter turn past snug. It's pretty much all you need for everything, unless you're making a race car or tripling the horsepower. On this, you can see this pad here has brackets, snaps into the piston itself. The other one here just kind of goes in the bracket. Just a touch of anti-seize here. If you have a brake lubricant, you can put the synthetic or whatever brake lubricant on it. This might be a pretty weird way of doing it, but just to show you the tool I have, it looks like this. I'm not sure if this is actually for brakes or not. Maybe it's got to be something similar, but I have this tool here, and it's got like a lip here, so I put this pointing up and this pointing parallel. Drop that in, then I can take a wrench and I can put it between the two here so it holds, and then we're pushing right on the piston, and I just put my hand over to hold everything in. And this, I'm able to twist it in by hand, and you should be able to just do it by hand. If it takes more force than that, maybe your piston is seizing or going bad. And boom, push it in until it's flat, or until, see, I can't turn it anymore, so that's all you need. Back that off, take that out. That went nice and smooth. Now would be a good time to put some lubricant on there, especially on all the rubber pieces. And if you hit it with brake clean, yeah, you'll want to make sure that you clean that up, because brake clean will destroy or it can destroy the rubber over time. Looks like we got some dried up. Front of the piston here is metal, so I'm going to put anti-seize on it, and then I'm going to give this a spray with some lubricant, and then we can hang this back on, put our pads in. The inside pad, this one has to go in first because it just clicks in there, and then we'll loop it on. Should be good to go. Clean Flow Honey Goo, this stuff works. It's like Frank's Red Hot. You put this shit on everything. Lubricates, anti-seizes, all that good stuff. So putting that on the rubber there. I'll put some on here where the sliders go. Put some up in there. Boom. And this stuff holds pretty well. It lasts a good time. I really like it. And I'll just wipe some of this right over that on the metal part of the piston. Goes with the curvature. I don't think you could put it in wrong, but pad here. Put it with the shape of everything. Cool, and it has these little hooks just kind of slide in, hold itself in place, and putting that anti-seize on helps hold it so it doesn't immediately fall off. Now we can take this, bend it back out, and with our caliper pushed in, this should pretty much slide right in. Just open the rear, kind of slides right in to those hooks. Yeah, okay. Just gotta make sure you line up the hooks into their spot there, but you'll know if it's going in wrong. Nothing. Anti-seize on the threads. I'll go see quickly if I have real grease. Otherwise, I'm just gonna anti-seize them all up. Basically works the same. Or maybe some honey goo. That's some good stuff. Alright, so I got some Valvoline full synthetic automotive gray grease. It's a fun tongue twister. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this. I don't really want to put it right on my gloves, so I'm gonna take this little cloth, and just going to rub it along the whole thing. So put some of that back on. But this is where it slides in. You slide that in, start on it here. Make sure it's threading into the hole. You can kind of see the head of the screw there. Just do one at a time, a little bit, and then make sure that way that you don't have it sitting uneven. Okay, here's the... Don't really need all this stuff in the way anymore. Grab this thing again, which, yeah, after looking at all this, I really have no idea what this is for, but Volkswagens use it. They think it's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna put a touch of this on the actual nubs that go in. But bottom one in, top one in. Pull this over. Here and here, following this thing, and then maybe just take a hammer and make sure it's in there. Changing the brakes, generally a pretty straightforward thing to do on the cars, but of course there's always things like rust and weird tools that make it take longer. So this is my first attempt working on German cars. I knew it would be a little something weird to get on my nerves and make it take longer than normal. This is day 2. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side on my own real quick, blast some heavy metal, really get into it, bang bang boom boom, and then I'll show you how nice and pretty it looks, and take it for a quick drive and make sure the brakes are good. One last quick tip before you put it all back together: always make sure your brake shield here isn't touching, and makes a horrendously annoying noise if it is, so just make sure that's not touching. Make sure everything is back where it should be, the brackets, any sensors, stuff like that if you've removed it. And
Rebel 1017.
What we've got here is failure to beat. I don't like it. Any more sweet.
Look at the heat we're bleeding. Look at the feel we're feeding. Look at the lives we're leading. The way we've always done before.
so for a braking procedure with these, usually you go up to about 50 or 60, do a light deceleration down to like 30, 40, do that a couple times, and then do one harder one from 60, and then take it up to about 70, 80, and then lightly down to 50, 60, do that twice, and then a hard one from 50, and that should pretty much break in the brakes and be good to go. Make sure you test that they actually work before you even do that. And right now, they're feeling great.
When you ask me to bring that guacamole to the party, I'll say no, no. If you ask me bring the guacamole to the party, I'll say no, no, no. That shit's too expensive.